closing 8 loans from your past client database. If that interests you, you're listening to the right episode of the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Kiles. And today we're going to talk about closing the last 8 transactions from your database with a buddy of mine, Rick. What is going on, man? Rick Masnyk. And I said that right? Rick Masnyk. Yeah, man.
Yes, you did.
So, and I'm excited because you joined the Breakfast Club and you attended often. And, you know, I love the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. It happens every single Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Our buddy Frank Garay helps head that up. Carl jumps on, Kristen jumps on, I jump on, and cool guys like Rick jump on, who's also one of our MMA Jumpstart members. And really cool thing happened. We were just sharing wins the other day in the Breakfast Club. And Rick, you just had talked about the last 8 loans you closed actually came from your database, which is something we talk about, man. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
so listen, for our listeners, somebody who doesn't know who you are, talk about your experience in the business, talk about a little bit about yourself, give them an understanding of who you are, what you're doing. And then we'd love to hear specifically, how does somebody listening today pull their next 8 transactions out of their database just like you did?
Well, I'm a 32-year veteran of the mortgage industry. I'm located, my office is physically located in Rhode Island. I'm licensed in Rhode Island, Mass, Connecticut, and South Carolina. I actually live in Massachusetts, but it's so tiny up here in New England, it takes me 13 minutes to get from door to door.
Dude, I love it.
You know, at the beginning of COVID, we started, you folks started doing the Zoom calls in the morning.
Yep, Loan Officer Breakfast Club. Yep.
Right. Yeah. And I started getting on that, and you know, I think I'm one of the original, or close to one of the original people getting on those calls in the morning. Watched it grow from like half a dozen to we're over 250 people every morning on that call. So there's a flurry of you know, ideas that people share. Ideas that, you know, I don't care how long you've been in the business. I can remember going to seminars and having somebody speak and say, you know, this is what we want to do to achieve this level in our business. And I'd sit there and I'd say, I know that. What am I doing here? I'm wasting my time. But then it's, okay, but am I actually doing it?
Yeah.
And there's a big difference there. So a lot of what happens with the Loan Officer Breakfast Club is sometimes it's just a verbal 2x4 to the head. Hey, get back to that simple practice that you've been slacking off on.
Love it. Yeah, you know, it was interesting. Something came out of it this morning, and I don't remember who said it. Oh, it was Fred. We were just popcorning around wins, and Fred something. He said, "Discipline trumps motivation."
I wrote it down on my blotter here, right here.
Well, and it just goes back to every morning. There's something that keeps you focused on what matters most. And that's what I love. It's not rocket science. It's about staying focused on the right activity. And then when you feel like, man, the motivation's not there, that's okay. The discipline to get up and show up every single day in your business is what makes a big difference. So, hey, talk about this, your database. So somebody, let's hone in on this, man. Somebody's saying, I need to close 8 more loans. What'd you do to activate your database? Like, what are you doing? What has helped you? 8 fundings, you know, even if it's only $3,000 per loan, which is plus or minus for people, that's a significant amount of revenue. What would you tell somebody? How do I go get 8 transactions out of my database?
Either you or an assistant follows the DSP, makes those phone calls every Wednesday, 2 letters of the alphabet, last name starting with A and B the first week, C and D the next week. I was doing them in the beginning.
Yep.
And then through the conversations that we have and the coaching we get with the Loan Officer Breakfast Club, I handed that off to my assistant here in the office, gave her the scripts that we have in the Loan Officer Breakfast Club, or the Marketing Animals booklet, the DSP booklet. And, you know, what we've done, we took it a little bit to another level. Sarah makes those phone calls. She uses the scripts. With some of the database, she's been calling them for so long now, she calls up and she just shoots the breeze with them. She's not even using the script anymore. Talk about current events, seasons, whatever, weather. But then what she does is I created a spreadsheet that we keep in a shared Google Drive folder. And she will literally go in there after every phone call. And if she just left a voice message, she makes that notation. If
Mm-hmm.
she had a conversation, she'll plug in there what they talked about, marks that in there, and then before she leaves for the day, she will take, I've got a blank handwritten notes or blank note cards, and she'll address some plus blocking the address here, but she'll address the note card. She'll put my business card with a sticker on the inside. It's a sticker that says, "I'm never too busy for your referrals." Leaves that stack on my desk. And then over the course of the next couple of days, I go into that spreadsheet. Full disclosure, I'll put on YouTube and listen to George Winston for background music while I'm writing out the note cards. And for the ones that, she was on she left the voicemail, I'll say something just as simple as, "Sorry, we missed you when Sarah called the other day.
Yeah.
You, a friend or a family member, ever in need of my services, please don't hesitate to reach out." And then if they had a conversation, I'll write something specific in there. And a true story, she talked to someone on a Wednesday who 2 days before, their house got hit by lightning during a storm.
Wow.
So he talked to her for a couple of minutes and whatever. She writes that notation in there. I get to that handwritten note and I thought, I can't write a note to this guy. I've got to call him.
Yeah.
So I called him. A day later, I'm in his neighborhood. I called again. He said he's not home, but his wife was home. Stop in. I stop in, shoot the breeze with them for a little bit. They're selling their house now. And this just happened two and a half months ago. They're selling
Wow.
their house right now. I just provided another updated pre-approval letter for a house they were offering because she was pregnant, or she is pregnant, and they're looking to get a bigger house. So
Wow.
wouldn't have happened if we weren't making those phone calls.
Well, so what I love is this, a couple of things. Number one, implementing the DSP is you got to know what the plan is. So Wednesday is the day we do database. We do it from 9 to 11. And there's a blocked time of outbound calls. You call 2 letters of the alphabet, which allows you to call through it 4 times a year. Every single week, you go through 2 letters. And what I love, Rick, is that you started it. And then you got to a point where you said, hey, you know what, I'm going to focus on other things. I'm going to hire someone or have someone make those calls on my behalf, which are, look, it matters less who's making the call. It matters more that they get done. And then you took it one step further, which I absolutely love, is that you also send out a handwritten card each and every week. So, hey, does everybody get a card that she called, or is it
Yeah,
just the one she talked to?
everybody.
So how
Everybody.
many cards are you sending out? Like how many are in your database right now?
Um, I want to say, because I don't keep the people in the database that I never want to hear from again.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever heard of Blaine
Yeah. Yeah.
Buffini, he says the only referral you'll ever get from a jackass is another jackass.
Yeah.
So we got close to 1,000. Some
Well, how
days
many calls do you think she's making a week? How many cards? That's guess what I'm really trying to get. How many
it's
cards do you think you're?
sometimes it's a stack like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a bigger stack.
And
Which
that's like
when I
20,
see that
25 in there. Dude, that's awesome, man.
when I see that bigger stack on my desk, then I know I got to set the alarm clock a little earlier the next day.
I love it. Well,
But
and
you
I
know what?
love I mean, what a great touch that you do a handwritten card. And I love the fact that you got a sticker for those who are listening and not watching. You got a sticker that sticks it to your business card on the inside. I mean, I just think that's a plus one, man. What a great way to activate your database.
One other thing I'll point out too is if you're going to hand it off to an assistant,
Yeah.
the question you have to ask yourself is, what am I going to do with that time that he or she is making those phone calls? And it
Mm,
stems back to when I remember a conversation I had with a realtor when I was talking about how I was having some painting done. I owned a 3-family house at the time, and I hired a painter to
yeah.
paint the hallway that was too high for me to get up to. And I was kind of bugged about that. And the realtor said, if you can pay someone else to do that job, but focus on your job so you end up making enough money to pay that painter and have something left over, then
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with hiring that painter. So I didn't make the decision to hand those calls off to Sarah until I confirmed with myself, for lack of a better term, that I was going to utilize that time to the best of my ability. And what I actually do at that time is every Wednesday, I do a Facebook Live post. So while she's making those phone calls, I'm writing, preparing, and recording the Facebook Live post, and she's doing that.
Dude, I love it, man. I mean, what a great way. I think it's a quick strategy, easy to implement with immediate results, and significant financial gains. I mean, you're talking about your last 8 loans coming from your past client database. I mean, that's 20, 30, $40,000. That's a big
Yep.
deal.
Yep.
Good job, man. Hey, well,
Thank
Rick, is there anything else you'd want listeners to know or hear? Hey, well, let me say this. If you're listening, you say, man, Steve, I'd love to know even more of the plan, the daily success plan, and how do I build structure around my sales so that I have consistent results and get even more of the loans out of what I'm already doing. You don't, that's what's shocking. You don't have to go do another cold call. Oftentimes, you just got to convert more of what you already have. Go to freedomplanningcall.com, freedomplanningcall.com. Myself, Carl, Frank, one of the team members, Kristen, we'll do 45 minutes with you. Would love to help you see the plan, what you can implement first to get big results. We even have a dashboard that'll show you which area of the DSP will help you make the most money right now. Freedomplanningcall.com, freedomplanningcall.com. Hey, so Rick, is there anything else you want to share about the database or anything else they should be thinking about when implementing the database?
Well, overall, it's the whole DSP, I think. I've had people who have said to me, well, how do you know, how do you keep track of which day you're supposed to do what? And in the beginning, I actually have it in my Outlook calendar so that at 9 o'clock, when we're done with the morning Zoom call with the Loan Officer Breakfast Club, it pops up on my screen. Monday, realtor calls, Tuesday, pipeline calls, Wednesday, database, Thursday, pre-approved and looking.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for so long now. I wake up, what day is it? Thursday. Oh, it's Pal's Day, pre-approved and looking. So it's the discipline, like we just talked about a minute ago.
I love it. Well, and man, you're such a great example of implementing and working and being consistent in the daily success plan. Congratulations on your success, man. Look forward to hearing even more about what others can do to follow your example. So thanks for your time, Rick. Really appreciate you being here. Any last words you want to say?
No, just, you know what? If you think about your why, when you don't want to make that next phone call, I have a picture. My goal is to have a house on a lake. There's a picture right next to the phone on my desk of a house on a lake. And when I don't want to make that next phone call, I look at that picture and say, okay, but you can kiss that lake house goodbye. And the phone gets picked up and the next call gets made.
My man, hey, well, when your why is big enough, it creates a resolve that you're going to do whatever it takes. Hey, and you know what's interesting, Rick? The more calls you make, the easier it gets. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, man, I feel like I have to wait till I get confidence. And I told him, I said, Rick, I mean, I literally just told her, she was very, very kind, very, wanting to have success. But she said, man, I got to find a way to get confidence in my calls. And I just told her, I said, the interesting thing is confidence comes by making calls. There's no other way, man. The more calls you make, the better you get, the less reluctance you have. Everybody has reluctance at some point. And the ones who win are the ones who take action, because I love what was said again this morning, man. Discipline trumps motivation. Motivation goes up and down. Confidence goes up and down. Call reluctance goes up and down. But if you'll be disciplined enough to pick up the phone, find out what drives you to the action, you'll see big results. I'll tell you what's been great too. We've seen our members have an average of 22.9% increase in their closed and funded loans and revenue they've put in their pocket in the last 4 months by following the daily success plan. When the market says it's down, our members are having best months ever. And so keep doing the work. Rick, thanks for sharing what you're doing. I love the idea with the card, the handwritten note. I love the fact
Steve,
that
if you don't mind me saying, with what you just said there, my Focus 40 list for realtors on Mondays is in alphabetical order. I don't call them in alphabetical order. I call the ones that I know I'm going to have a good, quick conversation with, and it gets me fired up. And the last thing you want to do, I don't care how bad you got to go to the bathroom. Once you get that ball going down the hill, you keep making those phone calls. And then when you get to the difficult ones, now the ball is going down the hill faster and you're going to plow through those phone calls. Call the ones that you know are going to be happy to hear from you first.
I love it, man. Hey, well, thank you for your guidance. You want to know more about the daily success plan and how we can help you here at the Marketing Animals, go to freedomplanningcall.com, freedomplanningcall.com. And remember this, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See you.